Good morning. Speaking about women, so the last video that I made was about about groupies, fangirls, stuff like that. And so I had something in mind. So that is something that I noticed that I just wanted to share with people. So I have always wondered, why people back in the days they burned witches, in Europe and in many places, and I heard in many countries, in many ethnicities, there have been some sort of like acts of violence of a similar sort toward women. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just all the patriarchy. Men are so aggressive that they do that." But that just did not, I didn't buy that. I mean, it gotta be more to it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not, this is not the situation. It's just really interesting. Like why does that happen? I'm not saying it's anybody's. What I'm saying is that I notice that so in the last video, so we spoke about how women speak, not how they act, many times. And sometimes you meet a woman and she bewitches you, sort of. She's like, she says stuff with her mouth and she looks a certain way and you forget everything, right? Now, you can notice that we use the word bewitched, right? Maybe this is how older society came to these sort of practices. So basically, women, especially good-looking ones, maybe ones that are gifted with their words, with the way that they act, that they're attractive, that they could, as they say, bewitch people, bewitch men specifically, especially if they're powerful men. Um, and so this becomes a power, right? So if you are a person who is able to, let's say, manipulate a king or a lord or just a person, if you're able to, manipulate people in that way, this is like a superpower now. It's very, it could be very dangerous. It could make your whole kingdom fall because of women. You know, so this big power made, I believe that, that it eventually made people, have such practices because they're afraid of this power. They could not deal with it. you know uh like, I mean, what do you do? So, you're a king or you're a lord, and then you got a lot of men, and women, and then they're under you, and so the men can't really manipulate like that, but women can, and they can't even manipulate you as a lord. Like, some woman could come with her fancy hair and she flips her hair and talks to you sweet, and before that you know it, everybody is conspiring against you. So, because of that, I feel this is why they made up these practices. So by burning witches, this sends a message to all women to not use this manipulative power that they have to hopefully get them scared. And then maybe eventually these practices were overreached. So, like, initially it was supposed to be for that, but then it was used, let's say, like women or men would be attacked. So let's say, you're a guy, you fell in love with a girl, and she, and then you were abusive, like an abusive guy with a girl, with a lady, and he abused her and she left him, and like he's so salty that he can't handle it, so he accused her of being a witch. So he used this excuse, which was not built for this situation, to accuse her of being a witch to take revenge as he sees fit. Obviously, he is in the wrong, and this is, equivalent to just murder at this point. You're causing somebody else's death because of your feelings, especially if you're the person in the wrong, right? So I believe that this is how that developed. And I think it's for the same reason that you find in many cultures, like the modest dressing, people wearing a head covering, all the women covering their hair, covering their beauty. I think it kind of comes down to that women have this ability to manipulate, in addition to them having issues sometimes telling the truth about things. Maybe they're not even aware that they're not telling the truth. But wherever. So this is, I don't know, I just thought about that, and it's just really interesting, and and then now, these things still happen, like women do manipulate society, men, justice system, And I'm just saying that we need to get to a point where this is punishable. I'm not saying that to burn people or anything. This is very savage and medieval, and it should not be happening. And it's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that there should be something that prevent men or women from manipulating people, tricking people, doing these sort of things. Um, but yeah, this is I just it just a thought, just something that I thought about. It's something that is wrong with our society. Then or you could work on modesty. I'm in favor of more modesty laws. Like let's say like you cannot go outside naked as a man. When was the last time you saw a man naked? You probably go to jail for jaywalking or something. They would put you in jail if you're naked. So there's clearly some modesty laws already exist. It's just that it extends to a certain point. So I'm saying that we should extend that. Maybe people should wear more clothes. Maybe they should not wear like they are. I'm trying not to say any bad words here, but you get the point. Maybe people should be more modest in their dressing and in their behavior, and should not be tricking people. There should be consequences to that, which right now is not as much. I mean, you hear every day in the courts, somebody lying. More than often, it's a woman, unfortunately. And so if they catch her lying, or if it's a cheating situation, nothing happens to her. There's no legal repercussions to that kind of person lying. So yeah, I just hope that people see that, and we can speak more about that. It's something that to take a little step in the right direction. But who am I really speaking to? I think nothing is gonna happen about it. I think things are gonna keep getting worse before it gets better. But it's just a thought. Thank you for listening.